It was raining heavily, and the streets were empty. She saw a small, shivering dog hiding under a broken bench. Most people walked past without a second glance, but something in its trembling eyes stopped her. She decided to do something, and that choice changed everything. Emma was an ordinary young woman living in a quiet town. She worked long hours at a small cafe, barely earning enough to cover rent and groceries. Life had always been a struggle. Her parents had passed away when she was a teenager, and she had no siblings. Despite the hardships, Emma had a heart full of compassion. She believed in small acts of kindness, even when no one noticed. Every morning, she would walk to work through the same narrow streets, passing the same old houses and shops. Some mornings were lonely. People were usually too busy with their lives to notice the little things around them. But Emma had a habit of paying attention. She noticed the cracked sidewalks, the peeling paint, and sometimes even the tiny flowers growing through the pavement cracks. One gloomy Thursday morning, the rain was relentless. Emma hurried along, trying to keep her umbrella from flipping in the wind. That's when she saw it. A tiny dog, soaked to the bone, cowering under a broken park bench. Its fur was matted, its eyes wide with fear, and it whimpered softly as the water pooled around its paws. Emma's heart ached. Most people would have kept walking, thinking it wasn't their problem, but she couldn't. She knelt down in the rain and whispered gently, "Hey, little one, it's okay, I'll help you." The dog flinched at first but didn't run. She slowly took off her scarf, wrapping it around the trembling animal, and carefully scooped it up in her arms. Carrying the dog to her apartment, she felt a mixture of worry and hope. Who knew what illness or injury it might have? She set it on a warm blanket in the corner of her tiny kitchen, offering it a bowl of warm water and some bread. The dog looked at her with hesitant trust, its tail barely wagging, but for the first time it felt safe. Emma named him Lucky, thinking it was ironic for a dog that had clearly been anything but fortunate. But deep down, she hoped her small apartment could be the start of a new life for him. Little did she know, this simple act of kindness would soon ripple through her own life in ways she could never imagine. The next few days were not easy. Lucky was frightened and weak. He had scratches, scars, and a limp in his hind leg. Emma tried everything to make him comfortable, but she could only do so much on her modest salary. She took him to the vet, only to be told that treatment would cost more than she could afford. At work, some of her colleagues laughed when they saw her drenched from carrying a dog in the rain. "Why are you wasting your time on that mutt?" One of them sneered. Emma ignored them, but their words stung. Her apartment building neighbors complained about the dog barking, and even some friends questioned why she was putting herself through such trouble for a stray. The hardest moment came one evening when Lucky ran out into the street, terrified by a passing car. Emma chased him, calling his name, her heart racing. When she finally caught him, soaked and shivering, she felt tears streaming down her face. How could she protect him in a world that seemed so indifferent? Days turned into a week, and her exhaustion grew. Her body ached, her savings were dwindling, and the constant worry about Lucky weighed heavily on her spirit. She wondered if she had made a mistake. Perhaps she should have left him in the streets, like everyone else did. Maybe kindness wasn't enough to survive in a world so harsh. One night, she sat alone on her tiny balcony, holding Lucky close. He rested his head on her shoulder, tired but alive. She whispered, "I just want you to be safe, little one. I wish I could do more." The rain fell softly around them, and in that moment Emma felt a deep loneliness. She had given so much love, and yet the world had offered her nothing but obstacles, judgment, and indifference. It seemed that no matter what she did, the world wouldn't notice. She feared that her compassion, her empathy, would not be enough to change anything, for Lucky or for herself. The hopelessness settled like a heavy fog around her, and for the first time in a long time, she questioned whether kindness was truly worth it. The turning point came unexpectedly. One morning, as Emma carried Lucky to the vet for a checkup, a young man in a business suit stopped her on the street. He had been watching her from his office window for days. "Excuse me," he said, "I saw you helping that dog in the rain. I just wanted to say, that's incredible." Emma smiled weakly, unsure of what to say. "It's just, he needed help," she murmured. The man introduced himself as Daniel, a local businessman and animal lover. He was deeply moved by her dedication, and offered to cover Lucky's medical expenses. But more than that, he wanted to help her. Over the next few weeks, Daniel connected Emma with a network of volunteers, veterinarians, and animal shelters. They helped her rehabilitate Lucky, and soon he was healthy, playful, and full of life. The community that had once ignored Emma began to notice her too. Her coworkers were amazed at her dedication, neighbors started complimenting her efforts, and even the local news picked up her story. People donated food, blankets, and toys for Lucky and other strays she started rescuing. What had once seemed like hopelessness transformed into a wave of love and support. Emma realized something beautiful. Kindness, no matter how small, never goes unnoticed. The world may feel cold at times, but genuine compassion has a way of coming back in ways we never expect. Lucky, once a frightened stray, had become a symbol of hope, not just for Emma, but for everyone who heard their story. By helping one small dog, Emma had unknowingly inspired an entire town. People began volunteering at shelters, rescuing other strays, and spreading small acts of kindness in their own lives. And for Emma, the reward was more than recognition. It was the joy of seeing a life transformed, knowing that even in the darkest moments, a little compassion could shine a light brighter than any storm. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change a life. Emma's choice to help a stray dog brought hope where there was once despair. It reminded everyone that compassion matters, even when the world seems indifferent. One caring heart can inspire a community, and in kindness we often find our own happiness too.